Okay. Welcome back, guys, to another Samurai
my Al
Reviews.
Pacino. Or my De Niro.
Wait, hold on. No, wait.
He's like Meeker from the Muppets.
Yeah.
I don't
know. Welcome back to another Samurai Reviews. This is the spoiler part of Star Wars Rise of the Skywalker. Briefly recapping on the non-spoilers part, it came out to a Samurai Reviews of a 5.5. Above average movie. We're going to get into the details of that. If you have not seen our non-spoilers, go watch that first before you get into this one, so you kind of understand what we're talking about. Let's have you start it off, Brett.
As I was talking about, the biggest cop-out and the biggest flaw for me in this movie was that they copped out. So there's a couple scenes. The first one that I was like... So the whole movie, at the beginning, I'm starting out, I'm watching it, I'm like, okay, this is okay. It's not great. I really wish they did some things different, whatever, but I'm enjoying it. And then there's a scene where Rey is trying to save Chewbacca from getting taken away on a transport ship. And she's like force holding it, and Kylo Ren and her like force tug of warring, and she accidentally activates lightning from her hand, and it blows up the ship. So like you're made to believe Chewbacca's dead. And like when that happened, I was just like, they killed Chewbacca? They killed Chewie? And I was shocked. Get it? Lightning. And I was like, okay, maybe this movie's gonna like go all out. Like I'm in. Let's see what happens. There's consequences now. Rey killed her friend. This is gonna like mess her up internally. Like we're gonna see where this goes. And about, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes later, they revealed Chewbacca was on a different transport ship and he's fine and he's captive on like the main Star Destroyer. Like 5 minutes after that. And you're just like, okay, so that's nothing. And then later, they have another scene where C-3PO gives up his memories so that they can read this like knife, which was the second dumbest thing in the movie. Like just this knife came out of nowhere and it was like exactly what they needed for every single puzzle piece that they didn't have. It was the knife. Like it was a freaking golden child with Eddie Murphy. They wipe his memory and he's like, I'm saying goodbye to my friends, which was kind of weird because like, were they really friends though? But like, so he's like, you know, it's a big emotional moment. C-3PO is basically dying. And then one of them even says in it like, well, can't R2 reboot your memory? And he was like, they're very unreliable. But then, of course, like, as soon as he said that, I was like, they're going to reboot his memory. So now already I know this is a pointless scene. And then at the end, they do reboot his memory. And I'm just like, so are there, like, what kind of speed bumps were in this movie? It just seemed like everything lined up so well. And then, like, another thing I didn't like was they added these characters. And they must have had an idea to have these characters in the second movie of the trilogy. Because they were just thrown in there. And it was like I was supposed to know who they are. Like Poe Dameron's like ex-lover or whatever. And she seemed like a cool character. And that's the one I was talking about in the non-spoilers. Like I was like, I think I would really like this character. But I have no idea about her. And she just shows up every now and then at the perfect time. Ex Machina style. Babu Freak was another one where it was just kind of a new character. A lot of people liked him. I liked him too. But he just kind of was shoved in there. What's the new droid? Dio. Dio is the new droid. And that was just kind of shoved in there. And then like at one point they're like, okay, we need to go get Rey. Oh no, we don't have a map. What, Dio? You have the map? Okay, we're good to go. Like it was just like, that was why he was in there. It was just to like conveniently slip in this map that they needed at the moment. Basically, every character that was added was so shallow, had no density to the character, and they were just added there to like connect point A to point B. And it was so cheap and lazy. And I don't want to use the word lazy because it seemed like there was a lot going on in the background of these characters. Like one of the new characters was this like escaped stormtrooper who ends up basically being Lando's daughter, is what they kind of hint at the end. And so like there had to have been a story there that they had an idea for, but they had to fit it into this pretty shortened movie. Like Avengers was a culmination of a lot of movies. This is the 9th movie in a very popular series. Like this is supposed to be a culmination of all these very famous movies. And what was it, like a hour 45, something like that? It was pretty short. Avengers was like over 3 hours. So to have that short of a movie for this culmination of stuff that you do not have time for now, that you didn't have time for in the beginning because you basically threw away a movie, it was just insane. And it definitely was a throwaway movie because they even have that scene where Luke Skywalker catches the lightsaber when Rey's going to throw it into the fire. And he's like, you need to respect a Jedi's weapon. Because basically J.J. Abrams was like, what Rian Johnson did to this character in the last movie, I'm fixing it. But like now it doesn't make sense because that last movie still exists. You're still basing what happens in this movie off that last movie. Even if you think it was trash, it's not gonna. It's just it was a jumbled mess. Not solely its fault, but like it didn't help itself by shortening it. And it's not. I know J.J. Abrams wanted it to be longer, so I'll give him credit. I won't blame him for this. I think it was the production. I don't know why they felt like it was a good idea to rush this. I guess they knew they were gonna get money either way. But now you're alienating fans now. Like this can't be good for you in the future because whatever movie you come out with next, it's gonna do dramatically less. Well, like not as good at the box office. There are people that are not gonna go see this movie now because of the way you treated the production of this one and the production of the last one. And I like The Force Awakens. I'd probably give it a 7. Like I honestly think it was one of the good ones. It was definitely repetitive and a little cliche. Definitely copied off of the original trilogy and stuff, but like for the most part, like the character development was different. They added these new characters in a similar situation, and it was interesting. Like I was into like where are these characters going to go from here? Like Finn, I was so into that, and then and then Kylo Ren, same thing. I was like, oh, where's this character going to go? Rey, a bunch of farts. It was a bunch of farts. Yeah, so it just. Since I'm on it, Kylo Ren's character in this, like I said, best character in this trilogy. They must have cut so much of his story in this movie because he has some big emotional moments, and the emotional moment that I actually liked was when his mother got him back, like dies to get him back to the light, and that kind of like he realizes like how he really did kill his parents. Like his parents weren't holding him back, they were holding him up, and but the way they did it was just so like she just says Ben, and I get because she's dead and they didn't have a lot of lines to work with. Yeah, I get that, but like you can add parts to his story. Like I don't know if my mother will even accept me. Like he's struggling with that. Like I can't go back because I've made too many mistakes to go back, kind of thing. And then his mother dying for him, even though he made those mistakes, could then make more sense of that, why he switches back. And it resonated with me, that scene, because like I'm really close to my mom, so like I think that's why I liked that part of it more than I probably should have.
That's actually my first point was that Leia had a good ending.
With what they could use.
Yeah.
If she was there, it could have been even better one.
But I liked how they did keep her around for that last moment with Ben's story.
Yeah.
And that's actually
it was
one of my good points.
It was really good, but they should have tried a little. They should have focused on that more than they did, because it definitely seemed like they had the Rey story going on, which I like Rey a lot. Like Rey is one of my more favorite characters in Star Wars in general. It's just the way they used her is one of my least favorite things. But it's kind of like The Last Jedi made you hate how they used Luke, but you still like Luke. So that's how I felt like with Rey. But yeah, so they're focusing on this Rey story, and this Kylo story is so much more interesting and unique. And then they'll just be like, oh yeah, remember that unique, really cool thing that you like? Yeah, so this happens. All right, back to the thing you don't care much for. And you're just, So, I don't know, those are, to sum it up, my biggest issues with it, if you want to take.
I'll take it over.
Yeah.
So Rey and Ben's story, like I like their duo that they kind of had, their duality between like the two, and them trying to figure out their good and bad side.
Oh shit.
Of it, and their kind of character development between them and how they got closer together and were able to, work out things in the end with them. For me, I feel like they should have focused on that more than Kylo's kind of story.
Dude, them forcing Kylo and Rey together in this movie was so unnecessary.
Yeah, but that was because of The Last Jedi.
It was
Because of
unnecessary.
the whole not Palpatine, the other guy, Snow. He's all like,
Snoke.
I connected you guys and stuff.
Yeah, but they did
like, it
not
was
need
my
to be
whole
a
plan.
romantic item.
Yes, that's my other thing.
The kiss at the end is just out of, like, you're just like,
So-
what?
I honestly saw the whole Ben and Ray were going to kiss scene.
Yeah.
Like, it was just gonna happen, and you're just all like,
Like, don't, please don't. Why? what led up to this? Again,
but,
probably the second movie's fault.
I mean,
But
honestly, but who wouldn't fall in love with
Daisy
Adam
Ridley
Driver's
or Adam
bod?
Driver, honestly.
Adam Driver's bod.
Spent Swolo.
Yeah. I wish they could have focused on that a little bit more, but I did enjoy Kylo Ren's touching moment with Leia scene. But I felt
And then
like
he remembers
they
his dad,
yeah.
and like that whole scene was cool.
That's also my other point, is that Han and his like memory scene that he
Yeah.
had. For me, at first, I was like,
I know a lot
I
of people
get
didn't like
why
it.
you're not going with Leia in this scene. Moment of silence.
Well, it was also like a callback to Force Awakens when he had the same exact conversation with his dad, but it was a different ending.
Yeah. I thought it was touching. I definitely thought it was touching, but I was like, I understand why you didn't go for Leia in this one. And it kind of it was, for me, it was a little bit weird.
That would have been
but it
cool
was-
if they had the same conversation, but it was with Leia, and that was the conversation she used to like finally, like, to give all her energy away.
But I
or
understand
whatever.
why it was Han. And it was nice, but like what we've been saying, they really rush in. They try to force that emotional impact onto the audience, and it's forced.
It's force choked.
Like the
it's
force
force choked
choked.
onto us.
And you're just like, just please, like I'm like suffocating from all this, like,
Daddy, no.
No, yeah. Another point, Finn and Poe's story.
Okay,
that
they
they
should have
have.
been gay. Another cop out by Disney. Make them, like, that would have been awesome. That would have made sense of their conflict that they just immediately had all of a sudden. Like, they were like snippy at each other.
Yeah.
If they were like attracted to one another, I get that. I've been that way. So like, I don't know, it was a cop out. And then the whole thing where like Finn is like, Rey, I need to tell you something, and then never tells her.
Yeah.
Like, they make that a big moment in the movie where he's like, they think they're about to die, and he's like, I never told you. And then he never gets it out. And then Rey's like, what were you going to tell me? He's like, that's not important. And it really isn't, because apparently what it was is that he was going to tell her that he was force sensitive, which, like, when you're dying is like, I'm force sensitive. Like, what does that fix? How does that help the situation that you're in? She would have just been like, yeah, I know. And then they die.
I mean,
No.
that would have been, yes, that would have been interesting if they were gay. But I was talking more of like Poe's side of the story.
Should be gay.
And his background. That
How he was
kind
gay?
of presented. No, of like,
How he specifically
he
wasn't
was
gay.
like this
Oh, he was a
working in the
smuggler?
spice smuggler or
He
something
was
like that.
He's supposed to be like
He
a
works for
resistance man.
yeah, I know.
He's supposed to be like, I'm all about the resistance. So that, yeah, I thought that was stupid
So when that showed up, I was like, okay. And then, that lady kind of comes in, and you're
Yeah.
just like, oh. It was very disappointing.
too. It was.
I
Also
would have
because,
been
like-
a lot better and more, like, static about it if he was actually
So like,
gay with
I was
Finn.
defending his character against people that were like, oh, he's just basically the new Han Solo. And I was like, no, he's so much different. And then they make him a smuggler, and I'm like, now I have to do. Why are you fighting against me? I'm trying to help you. What am I supposed to say? He really isn't. Like, his character is completely different, but like, they're just making this like the situation he's in so Han Solo-y, and I'm like, why are you doing this? You have a unique character.
Yeah.
You have a fun, unique, interesting character. Stop trying to make him an old character.
And you also have this unique character, Finn, and you're throwing him on these side missions that you're just like,
Absolutely threw Finn in the garbage.
yeah,
Which
and
is
they
a
just ruin his
disappointment.
character. And if you're going to reveal something that big, like he's force sensitive, at
Yeah.
least build him up you know, in the eighth movie for sure.
I thought he was
and
getting
then
a lightsaber.
get into like
When Rey
you
had
know,
two
the
lightsabers.
Ninth, yeah, and then
It's
get
like, give
into
it to
like the
Finn.
ninth movie, and then actually like present Finn as like this, you know, other ultimate character. But they totally threw that away, so it's garbage, and I just didn't like it. So anything that dealt with Finn and Poe in that movie I was just disappointed.
That movie is disappointed. Yeah.
Okay. Brett said the most shocking part was the lightning thing, so we'll kind of skip over that because like
It was so stupid.
it was like, oh my gosh, yeah, like this is like what's going on, and then 5 seconds later, Chewie's not dead, and you're just like, oh, okay, great, okay, cool. Like
Half the movie is just
Move
like,
on. I felt like the coolest scene and the most funnest scene in this movie was when Poe uses the Falcon to like space skip in the beginning and was going through like all these like planets and stuff and getting chased by like the TIE fighters, and I was all like, that
It
was
was
visually
fun.
cool.
But now I have so many questions.
Yes. Yes. That's why I say it's the coolest scene and not
See, I liked Ben Solo.
the best scene.
I liked when Kylo became Ben Solo.
Yeah.
That was my favorite.
That
like,
was
entertainment
probably the best scene because you actually get that finally like that character
And
development
he goes, I know that.
in the end where he, you know, changes his character.
It's a
and
culmination
you
of his
see
story.
his development. So
yeah.
that's why I'm saying that was the
But yeah,
coolest scene.
Star skipping.
The
Yeah.
Kylo one is my best scene.
Also, like, TIE fighters don't have hyperdrive. Wow, they can't skip with him. Anyways.
Anyway, yeah, that was the whole point. They set that up in the original trilogy.
Yeah. They're like close range. They fly around the Star Destroyer and like
Yeah,
and then they come back.
Actually, I did not even like think about that until you said it.
That's what I'm saying.
So, one of the biggest things that I felt was really just force choked on you was when Palpatine's all like, "I have all the Siths behind me," and then Rey's all like, "I have all the Jedis," you know, and you're just all like, I get why you're trying to make this a touching moment.
I physically cringed when she said
all
that.
of those voices, you know, like saying "we have your back." I was just so, yeah, like you said, it was so cringy.
Yeah.
It was so forced. I thought I was dying.
When that happened, I was like, okay, this movie can wrap up now.
Yeah.
I'm good to go.
I'm done. I'm just done with this now. Like we said, it was very rushed. I really wish they could have set up Palpatine a little bit more as the main villain in this trilogy again.
That is, so I told you this in the non-spoilers too, I think, but
introducing Palpatine in this late of the trilogy was a mistake for me.
So I'm pretty sure they were going to set him up in 2 or in 8. But like the second in the trilogy, but Rian Johnson had different ideas. I'm pretty sure that was going to be the big reveal for Snoke, was that it was Palpatine, and that was supposed to be the 7th or the 8th movie. But rather they had to do it in this one because Rian Johnson didn't feel like doing that, which is like his prerogative. Like when you give someone the reins, like you give them the reins and you live with what you get. So like I don't really hate Rian Johnson for this either. It's strictly the production. The people who are in charge of the production of this are like, what are you doing, man?
You know, different directors, different creative views and that kind of stuff. But, you know, I'm just a reviewer. I'm not a producer of like Disney and stuff. So,
but yeah, bringing Palpatine in, like, they apparently J.J. Abrams had a lot more setup. He was going to, there's like a couple scenes where they explain how he survived in the original trilogy and stuff like that. That was going to be in there. So they're going to be like flashback scenes, but they cut those. So you didn't get those. And I don't know if those would have been good because I'm not a huge fan of flashback exposition. But it would have been better than just being like, oh yeah, he's alive. He was broadcasting his voice. Like that's how it felt.
Yeah, bringing him in was also a weird thing because there's this whole secrecy stuff that just like surrounded him, which I get that's his character. But like him just being in this dark, gloomy place where you can barely see anything.
That was the Sith homeworld.
Yeah, the Sith planet, which I was like, where did this come from? There's just so much introduced where you're just all like, I want to know more about this and what this is going on. So that's why
everything that you're interested in, they don't care to like show you.
That's why bringing him in late was a mistake.
And then
because
there's all these like
this
Sith
secret
loyalists
stuff going on.
and he has this giant fleet.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what took you so long? Like, you have all these people on your side ready to go in these like gigantic super weapon ships, and you're just like, oh wait, what you doing, man? Get out there and rule the world. And then in that whole climactic fight is dumb too, where so like they basically get these horses, and they're gonna do like they need to take out a tower, and they're gonna do it with these ground horses, and that's the only way they can do it because they can't attack it from the sky for some reason. And then they're no longer can attack the tower because the transmission's coming from a ship now, and it's because Finn just knows. He just knows, and they're just like, that's good enough for me. So they redirect their entire forces to go after this Star Destroyer, and they land on the Star Destroyer, and then they start riding the horses, and then the next scene on the Star Destroyer, no horses. They're like standing shooting, and I'm like, why didn't you just land? Like, what was the point of the horses then? To get to this area faster? Because then you're in a ship. Just land. Yeah, exactly. But that's like the whole movie is just to make it look cool. That's not enough. It's enough to get an average score out of me. Because like it did look cool. Like I'll give you that. But that's not. I don't care. Like there's no like. I'm not attached to just cool looking things. I don't get attached to things just because they're cool looking. That's so shallow.
Yeah. That basically kind of wraps up our input for.
Yeah. We can do an expanded
Wars,
one if you like want it, because we can go through like scene by scene like we used to do if you want on this, because there's plenty we could like pick on, and plenty that we actually thought was good too. Like we can nitpick and we can do the opposite of that. I don't know what the opposite of nitpicking is, but we can do it. But we'll go scene by scene and talk about what was great in it and what was bad in it, if that's really what you want. But it's gonna be long as so. We don't have that time right now, but maybe later. Let us know. Also, you can type in the comments what we missed or what you didn't like too, and we'll be like, yeah, dude. Or what you did like, and we'll be like, good point. Yeah. Or we'll be like, you dumb. So like either way, there's interaction there.
Please comment down below. Let us know what you think. Let us know what your favorite scenes were.
Oh,
your most disliked scenes.
The knife was stupid.
Yes.
Knife is dumb. I hate the knife. I hate the knife. That's another golden child. You guys, no one has seen that movie. I swear to God. It's insane.
I don't mention the knife because obviously everybody knows that the knife was ridiculous.
It was just like, we need one object to get us through any wall we encounter.
Yeah.
Knife compass. Knife, Sith knife compass. Sith knife key transcription compass. Okay, wrap it up. I'll shut up.
Thank you for bearing with Brett's little off-tangent rants that he always has in the spoiler review videos. We appreciate it for all the subscribers out there.
You better hurry up.
Catch us next time on our next Samurai Review video.
All right, I'm out of water. So anyways, and another thing.
Perfect.